Hello, my name's Andrew, and these are the best barefoot shoes of fall 2024 for hiking, running, casual, and everything in between. So at number one, my all-time favorite barefoot shoe for fall is the Vivo Barefoot Magna FG, because it's got a nice wide toe box and a fully leather upper that's pretty water resistant, especially if you treat it with some wax. But the best thing about this boot is the slip-on upper, because it's just so easy to put on and off if you're running errands. And it's a ribbed wool blend as well, so it's great for fall because it can work when the temperatures are hotter. It helps move the heat and moisture away from your body. But then the mid-cut ankle is also nice for colder weather or nastier conditions. And in terms of the tread, it's 5.5 millimeters, which is perfect for a hiking shoe in my opinion, because it's really flexible, but then also there's some really good durability and protection on firm ground. But the sole is also thin enough that it rolls down pretty well on roads and feels great walking to the grocery store on pavement. And although I always prefer a stitched sole, the glue looks really good after almost 2 years. There's just nowhere on the entire shoe where it's separated. If you want the same thing but even lighter, this is the Vivo Barefoot Primus Trail Flow. It's also got a wide toe box, but maybe just a little bit more taper than the Magna FG up front. But in terms of the upper, it's highly water resistant and even waterproof below this line here. Like literally when I took these out to film, I put them in the water and they actually float around. Then you got drawstring laces up top, which is really nice for getting them on and off quickly. And there's a little hook there, so you can just hook them into the front. And the upper is stretchy enough that it hugs your foot even without any laces or drawstring. For the sole, it's 5.3 millimeters. It is a little bit more snappy feeling than the Magna FG. Like, check this out. It almost reminds me of like a carbon plated racing flat, and the tread is similar to the Magna FG, but it has more of a chevron shape, so it's kind of like aggressive claws, which is perfect for traction going up hills. But then they've got them in the opposite direction in the back for going down steep muddy slopes. And although it's a trail shoe, I like that the Primus Flow is curved in the back, because when you're walking on pavement, it gives you a nice smooth roll down. That said, they do look more techy and they're less versatile for casual than something all natural like the Magna FG. The number two barefoot shoe for fall is the Vibram Five Fingers V-Trek. It's got a wide toe box, but then because of the separate toes, it gives you room to splay out, so it actually is extra wide. And it's as close as you can get to being completely barefoot because you just have so much more agility. The upper is a wool blend as well, so it breathes really well. It's also an excellent option for higher volume feet, but it cinches up really well on top, so it also works for someone like me with slimmer feet. And for the sole, it's 4 millimeters, extremely flexible in all directions. This is one of the most agile barefoot shoes you can get, especially for trail running. But it's a Vibram sole, so it is very rugged. Like, I've literally had these 8 years, and although they're showing a little bit of wear, I could honestly probably get away with another decade in these. But overall, I love them for hiking and trail running because even though the sole is pretty thin, the separate toes act like mini claws. And there's actually a tiny bit of padding in there, so it's a really protective shoe for both small to medium-sized rocks. Although the only downside about Vibrams is that they're not water resistant whatsoever, so as soon as you step in a puddle, it's just gonna come straight up through the toes. Although if I'm running in cold, dry weather, then I can get down to around 30 degrees with these as long as I keep moving. Another fall barefoot shoe I love from Vibram is the KSO Eco Wool, because it's got this soft, felty upper that feels like putting on a slipper. Really nice drawstring Velcro system as well. And then for the sole, it's 3 millimeters, so even thinner than the V-Trek, ultra flexible and ultra grippy as well. So it's a great one for climbing trees or any kind of slippery terrain. Although again, water resistance is like 0. If you want a taller option, there's also the V-Lynx, which is kind of cool. Really not any more water resistance, but there is a little bit of wind blocking here. And the zip upper is convenient as well. Plus for the sole, it's 4 millimeters. It's basically the same thing as the V-Trek. And it is super versatile for pretty much everything from road running to trails to muddy hills. But I do wish that the ankle opening was a little bit snugger because it can let some air in, but you could put one of those wraps around if you want. Number 3 for fall, this is the Vivo Barefoot Gobi boot. It's got a wide toe box, then because of the stretchiness and softness of the leather, it's definitely one of the widest Vivo styles that I've tried. Plus it's waterproof below this line and then pretty darn close up top if you treat the leather with wax. And inside you can either go with the winterized version, which has a faux shearling, or the uninsulated version, which is a little bit more versatile for all seasons because then you can just stack up socks in there and then stack them down for hotter weather. But I do love that it's got a stitched sole for durability. And the 3.7 millimeter zero drop tread is super flexible. It feels really natural walking on roads. And it does have a little bit of protection for going on some light trails, especially around the heel here where the rubber is a little bit more dense. But overall, the breathability is great with the leather. And I think if they just added a zip on the side for quicker on-off, this would be the best fall winter barefoot boot of all time. And number 4 for fall, this is the Vivo Barefoot Sensus. A nice wide toe box, again, fully leather, so it's very stretchy. It kind of feels like wearing a baseball glove. And if you look close, you can see that there is a little bit of perforation here. So it's nice for going on early fall runs when it's warmer and you still need a little bit of breathability. But for the most part, it's very wind resistant. And the heel has this nice sculpted pocket here, which creates an excellent no-rub lockdown for trail running and training. Plus the Sensus is completely leather inside, so it's one of the few barefoot shoes that actually feels really good to wear without socks. Stitched sole for durability as well, and an ultra thin 3 millimeter zero drop sole, which is just about as flexible and sensitive as you can get from any barefoot shoe. And Vivo's rubber is pretty grippy on wet terrain as well, but generally I'd stick to road roads instead of gravel because that can really wear down a super thin sole like this. Also, because the sole is so thin, there's really not much insulation from the cold, and they are a bit lower volume, so there's not too much room to stack up socks or insoles in there. So I'll often use a wool felt insole like this, which is super thin but doesn't affect ground feel and actually adds a lot of warmth. If you need something a little bit warmer for winter though, this is the Asana. Also has a stretchy toe box, but then it's a blend of soft leather and wool on top, so there's a little more room compared to the Sensus. And like the Magna FG, you can slip it on without touching the laces. And then for the sole, it's 4mm, so like I said, provides just a little bit more protection from the cold, and gravel as well because they've got some denser panels in here and then the back, but still super flexible and grippy just like the Sensus. And because of the natural materials, it's also really versatile for both casual and training. And number 5 for fall is the Magical Shoes Echo, which has more of a medium width toe box. Although the uppers are really cool, they have a lot of like 70s, 80s inspired shoes and they use all natural materials. Plus the Echo actually has a zipper. It's pretty much the only low cut barefoot shoe I've ever seen do this. And so like the Magna FG, I find myself grabbing it going out the door just because it's faster than other shoes. Like the Sensus, it's all leather inside, so it's a great option if you like to go without socks. Stitch sole for durability as well, and it's 6.5mm thick, so still some really good flexibility, but a lot of grip and protection as well. So this is a good one to wear if you need crossover between roads and trails. Although if you're only going to be on roads, it can be a bit overkill. Ironically, some of Magical's higher cut boots like the Alaskan have a thinner sole, and if you're on mostly roads with only a little bit of trails, I think this is a better option. But again, the zip is super convenient, and the Alaskan is nice because it has some very thick wool insulation for colder weather. And number 6 for fall, this is the Soft Star Switchback. Comes in both a regular and an extra wide primal toe box, which is what this one is. And I'd recommend that for pretty much everyone, even if you have medium width feet, because that extra room up front just gives you a little more room to stack up socks in cold weather. And the back of the boot slims up a little bit, so there's no problem at all with slipping around. But in terms of the upper, they made some nice upgrades with simplifying the stitching, and it's a lot more water resistant now. Like especially if you treat it with beeswax, you can get these pretty close to waterproof. And the laces have a very nice cinch on top for security. Plus they're fully lined with merino wool on the inside, which is great because it's not too thick. So the merino breathes really well up to 70 degrees. Well, it will get warm above there. Wool is great because it wicks moisture away from your body, so your feet will stay dry even if they are a little bit warm. But although Softstar gives you a stock insole that's a little bit thicker, I find it just takes up too much room in the boot. So again, I like to use that thinner wool felt insole and then stack up a layer of merino and gingies and maybe some smart wools if it's really cold. For the sole, it's 9.5mm, still zero drop, and even though it's a little bit thicker, it still is super flexible. And that's because the tread is around 6mm and then the rest of it is foam, which is pretty soft. But the tread on the Switchback is an absolute beast. It uses Vibram rubber, so it is super grippy, and it's got these wider lugs on the outside for protection from stones, but then on the inside it's got these triangle lugs which are spaced apart, and that's really good for going down steep slippery hills. Plus because there's more space in between the lugs, it doesn't attract mud like some more aggressive barefoot shoes do. Although at 9mm there is a little less ground feel, so the Switchback is a great option for a really rugged terrain, or if you just like a little bit of padding. And number 7 is the Vivo Barefoot Gobi sneaker, which has a really nice wide toe box, a lot like the Gobi boot, full leather upper as well, and the same rubber guard, which makes them waterproof up to this line right here, plus a stitch sole for durability. And in general, this is my favorite barefoot shoe designs of all time. Looks kind of like a classic soccer sneaker, although I do wish the ankle was a little bit lower. It's not a huge deal though because the leather is really soft and padded, and like the Sensus and Magical, it's all leather inside, so it's one you can wear barefoot. It feels barefoot too with that 3.7mm sole, the same one as the Gobi, ultra flexible, and some nice grippy rubber for roads and light gravel. And number 8, this is the Lono Wild. It's got a wide toe box with a little bit of taper up front, although the upper is suede and there is a ton of volume here if you're someone with higher arches. Stitch sole for durability as well, and the guard wraps up even higher than Vivo, so they're waterproof almost to the top of the shoe. The ankle is even softer too, so I found them to be really comfortable, although I do wish the lining was leather instead of a synthetic. The laces on the Wild are awesome though, and they're highly customizable. You've got some extra support here on the side, and then 3 eyelets up top, so you could give yourself a little bit more room by just going through the first one or going all the way up to make the ankle a little bit more secure. And for the sole, it's 8mm, so a little bit thicker, but still some excellent flexibility. Very grippy rubber as well. And you've got some more aggressive chevron lugs in the front and the back for wet terrain, plus more dense panels in the middle for protection on rocks. Although I do wish that they were spaced out just a little bit more, because if you're on really steep slippery hills, there's not as much traction. And there's a little bit of padding in here, so like the Switchback, this is a great option if you're going on super rough terrain or you just want a bit more softness, because the heel is also curved, so even on roads these feel very smooth. And number 9, this is the Wildling Rainy Day, and it's so tall I can't spin it the other direction or I'm gonna hit my microphone, but it's got a nice wide toe box and the rubber is flexible as well. It's also the only pure barefoot rain boot that I'm aware of, and I like that Wildling sculpted the back here, because something that can happen with rain boots is that they're really clunky and they kind of slide around in your foot, but the taper here keeps that from happening. Although I will say I wish there was just a little bit more volume in the very front of the toe box. They're easy to get on and off though, and there's a nice amount of room room here so your leg can move back and forth. Plus at only 4 millimeters, it's so much more flexible than your traditional rain boot with some grippy rubber and some pretty aggressive lugs as well. So I can go out for a 3-mile walk in these and not feel like I'm clomping around. Although it is a higher cut rubber boot, and so there's a little less mobility than something mid-cut or lower cut shoe. And although the sole is enough for light duty gardening work, it's not gonna stand up to abuse on a metal shovel as much as something with a thicker sole. Finally at number 10, this is the all new Wildling Kozlig. Basically a barefoot UGG style boot with a wide toe box up front and a nice wraparound sole for some water resistance. Like my Northwolves, I love the upper on these. It's got kind of like a classic suit vibe. And it does actually have a synthetic liner for water resistance on the lower half of the shoe, which you can kind of hear. Creates kind of like a subtle crinkle when you're walking, but weirdly I can only hear it when I'm inside. If I'm outside, I don't seem to hear it at all. Although from the stitching here upwards, there's no liner, which I like because the liner can limit the breathability a little bit. So ending it here makes it easy for any excess heat or moisture to escape out the top of the boot. But inside it's fully lined with wool and it's very thick and puffy. So again, it helps with breathability and moisture regulation. Plus it also keeps them smelling nice. And for the sole, it's 3.5 millimeters, super flexible in all directions, plus split down the middle in a kind of tabby style, and a solid amount of protection for going on roads and light gravel. All right, so those are the 10 best barefoot shoes for fall of 2025. But if you'd like to support the channel, you can shop with the referral links down below. Browse and filter more products with the shoe finder tool at my website, barefootwear.org, or watch my zero drop transition video to learn more about barefooting. Finally, if you have a question about footwear for fall or about barefoot shoes in general, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Peace.